the proceeds, all the tickets go to help him out for his treatment. So, yeah, it's in Sevierville. Oh, no, pardon me, Pigeon Forge. If you go to KFW Wrestling on Facebook, they'll have all the information. There's more matches. A lot of guys coming in for this event too, just to help out and be a part of it. It's kind of cool.
And they can also go to Jacobs Pritchard or Wrestling Academy. What was the website again?
I'm sorry, jpwrestlingacademy.com. We couldn't do the whole thing, I guess.
Wrestling, well, it would get unwieldy. jpwrestlingacademy.com for more information on the school. And we'll let you go so that Brian and I can turn our attention to the Wednesday Night Wars where one of the show dunked and the other one drowned.
Oh, I missed that. Yes. Very good. I thank you very much for having me on your show again. It's great. Always good talking to you. I got to talk to Brian on the Ron Fuller podcast, the Studcast. But it's always a pleasure, and man, I'm looking forward to having a great 2020. And anybody who wants to check out the JPWA, just come on. Just watch class, see if it's for you. Come on in. We're located at the D1 in the D1 complex in Hardin Valley. Not hard to find.
I know it's huge. That's where the Bob Eaton event was, and It's a huge building right there. You can't miss it. There's no way you could be blind if you could miss this giant building. Anyway,
right.
I love you, Doc. I will talk to you soon. Good luck on February 7th. Watch the stick, and we will talk soon.
Thank you so much.
Well, boy, Brian, you did a lot of work there on that interview.
What do you want me to do? Ask him how many flips and dance routines he's going to teach me at his school?
Well, no, I realized you didn't have anything to add, so you usually don't. But nevertheless,
come on.
I had to get that. Well, speaking of adding things, you shamed me. I watched both shows this week, but also some of the Twitter folks shamed me that we've been letting in the euphoria of talking about the fucking train wreckedness of AEW, that we have slacked off on NXT, and some of the folks on Twitter said, we love the NXT. We love you to talk about the NXT. You're not talking about the NXT. So I watched the NXT first, as a matter of fact, last night.
I wish I had done that.
Well, it does leave you wanting a little bit to watch a little bit more wrestling, where remember, usually when I've finished with AEW, I'm like, oh, fuck, now I got to watch NXT too. But, see if I came up with something that I think there may be something at the root of this somewhere. NXT is a show where you admire the athletes. AEW is one where you think you could be one of the athletes. Does that make any sense?
Well, considering a few of the people on the roster, yeah, that makes sense.
Well, but I think NXT is the show that you would watch like we used to if, wow, those professional wrestlers, those guys are tough, and we couldn't do any of that shit. Whereas now AEW has become the show where you think, yeah, I could do that because they're letting everybody else do it, where NXT is a show where, these guys are obviously not only in shape, highly trained, they're hitting hard. And I'm just, what am I not seeing? This is the cutting edge wrestling show. Their editing and their production, their music, the pace, the energy, the roster, the young guys, the up-tempo style. They do the modern style of, too much, but they do it well. Why is everybody not going, this is the fucking AEW is supposed to be the cutting edge, different wrestling show? What am I not picking up on here?
It's marketing, it's promotion, it's hype.
But who's better at marketing and promotion than the WWF?
It's a different thing altogether, because AEW and the wrestlers there position themselves as kind of being the rebels. I mean, even though it's rather silly that they position themselves like that, but that's the way they presented themselves. We are the new young thing, even though in a lot of cases you'll see very similar type wrestling.
There's nobody on the NXT roster that's as old as the Young Bucks.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, practically not.
Ciampa, I would say, is older than them, probably.
Well, it might be close. Look that up while I'm droning on here for a second. The point is, it seems to me NXT as a television program, whether it's the announcing or just the pace or the energy or those people there, that the audience, they know all the fucking cues on the entrances and everything, but everybody, it makes sense as a program. I don't see as something on one segment and think, well, how the fuck did that end up on this program? Where the other show is all over the page. And the first tag match, Fish and O'Reilly against Zach Gibson and James Drake, the fellows from the UK.
Bobby Fish is older than them. I know that.
Well, Bobby Fish is a freak. He was old when we were trying to get him in Ring of Honor more than 10 years ago, and he was in his 30s then, but he's a freak. But I bet you Tommaso Ciampa's equal age or younger than at least one of the Young Bucks.
Okay, you know what? I'm a bit surprised by this. I have a few ages here in front of me. Let's see how many of them you can get. I'm going to ask you some NXT and AEW ages.
All right. We're just breaking off into something totally unplanned now.
How old is Cody Rhodes?
Cody is 37.
34.
Okay.
How old is Keith Lee?
I really had never seen him before we started this project, but he obviously played football. He's almost 30?
35.
Wow.
How old is Kenny Omega?
Well, fuck, I saw him have a bad outlaw match on a Ring of Honor show in 2000 and fucking probably 8-ish. So let's say 34.
36.
Okay.
How old is Johnny Gargano?
34.
32. How old is Tommaso Ciampa?
Okay. I'm going to say he is 33 years old.
Close, 34, which is younger than I thought. I actually thought he was considerably older.
Yeah.
How old are Nick and Matt Jackson, Nick and Matt Massey, the Bucks of old?
37 and 35.
Matt Jackson, who's the older one, surprisingly, is 34. Nick Jackson is 30, the youngest of all these guys.
Did not. I thought they were closer together.
And that is the ages of the wrestlers.
So
everyone's in their 30s.
So one of the Bucks is older than Tommaso Ciampa,
or the same age.
Or same age. Okay,
but Tommaso's younger than Kenny Omega, which surprised me actually.
And Keith Lee, holy shit! Well, we'll get to him in a minute. But anyway, yeah, the point is, this just looks like a show that young people would. I guess this is a show that young people would like if they're looking at trying to take this seriously as a sport and as a competition and as an athletic endeavor instead of just a goddamn goof show, I guess, because it blows it away on all counts. Anyway, with Fish and O'Reilly, I love the Undisputed Era's entrance. All four of these guys, they all look like they belong together, just like the classic Horsemen did. They've got charisma. I would have pushed these guys to the moon if I'd had them on a roster. Wait a minute. I did. Except for Fish. We had him right before I left. But yeah, O'Reilly and Roddy and fucking Adam Cole. And they, anyway, this match was athletic as fuck. The one thing that was wrong with it that they couldn't do anything about was that the people liked the heels better than the English guys, even, and I guess the English guys are nominally heels, but the people like Undisputed Era better than they like the English guys. So they got a set of heat first on one of the English guys, Drake, and then gave a so-so hot tag to Gibson. I did just, and a so-so comeback. And then they went to break, and by the time they got back from break, they'd stopped O'Reilly and got some heat on him so he could get a hot tag to Bobby Fish. And Fish makes a good comeback, but the heels are getting bigger babyface pops. That's what comes when the people realize it's a show and okay, these heels are really fucking good, so we're going to cheer for them. And, they should have went ahead and I don't know. But anyway, that's the only thing that hurt the match. All the guys did excellent. but the fans were cheering for the heels. They did the Undisputed Era did a really nice double team finish for a 2 count, and then it became scrambled eggs and a lot of backslap tags, which this is an epidemic, especially in NXT. And I can't believe apparently somebody has just said, oh, it's okay to do this because it's easier. Because no veterans teach this, that you can slap a guy on his shoulder and that's a tag. So apparently they've just changed it. It's still, when the Revival does it right, it still looks a whole lot cooler. But anyway, Imperium came out and distracted Fish and O'Reilly so that Gibson and Drake could win, and that was fine because they're still the tag team champions, but these guys moved on in the tournament, and the reason was Imperium appeared. But have you noticed on these 2 shows, at least 3, maybe 4 times, somebody just appears in the arena or on a screen, and the dumb fuck that's getting distracted just has to stand there and go, oh, and then they get beat. If they're going to make a distract, could there at least be a reason for them to be there? Could they at least just run down and try to get involved? Could there be something otherwise that I'm just going to stand there and watch these guys on a platform 30 feet away from me stand there and get beat? Did you pick up on that?
Yeah, I mean that, and plus every time someone comes out, no matter what the situation is, their music has to play. It has to announce that they're coming out, and then very often they will stand on the little platform and do their Broadway pose or whatever. Everyone has now like a custom pose they do in wrestling, and I hate that. But
if the goddamn heel just came out dressed as the popcorn guy with a big fucking tray of popcorn in front of his face and fucking suddenly threw a box right in the fucking babyface's way or right at him, right as he turns around, he goes, what the fuck? It's you. And then boom, schoolboy, whatever the fuck, instead of just standing there forever. Anyway. It was a good tag match, but had those issues that I mentioned.
What do you think of the name of the team, the Grizzled Young Veterans?
Well, no, that's not going to be whatever the fuck they actually become stars with. I'm not saying that they're not good wrestlers, but no, they got a lot of weird names, as we will get to on this program. Not names that sound like they would be names.
One other question for you. I enjoyed the match. I thought it was good. But I did have an epiphany during it. I was thinking back to the Monday Night Wars, or war. I guess shouldn't be pluralized, technically. There are a lot of matches on those shows. I don't remember too many that went 20 minutes. And it seems nowadays, between both companies, we have a lot of long matches. Do you think that's good or bad? Obviously, you have a lot of television time to fill up. And in the case of one company, it may not have the giant roster to fill up that show and keep it fresh each week. But
no, you don't know. The matches don't need to be 20-something fucking minutes. That needs to be special, not regular. In OVW, I shoehorned everything I could shoehorn into that 1-hour show and was down to timing VTRs within 15 seconds to put it all in. And I was running a wrestling school. I didn't have a billionaire's budget, and both sides have a billionaire's budget. So I'm sure I could have, and I still didn't have long, drawn-out, multiple-segment matches unless it was built up to where it meant something. An OVW championship match, a loser leave town match, something, a big blow-off, whatever. Because you can get all your guys in, and you don't just have to put them all out there and have them wrestle for 20 minutes. Show them on I always had a checklist when I was writing a television format, whether it be OVW, Ring of Honor, Smoky Mountain, whatever, of all my talent. I wanted all the main event guys to both work and talk in some fashion, whether it was being wrestling and then being heard in a VTR or a live interview, but also I wanted them to be VTR'd from the previous week. What did they do? So I had a checklist where, some guys, as long as they were represented, if they were on the card, well, they're in a VTR or they're working in a match or they're talking in a pre-tape. But my main event guys would work and would talk and would be seen in VTRs and blah, blah, blah. And I would have a scale to make sure everybody was represented. And I still had trouble getting everybody in a wrestling school show or in a small territory because you create things to fit the fucking format of your program. You don't